Okay, some notes on day 10, although this is being recorded on day 11, so it's a little bit of a cheat. We got up early from our wild camp, and we're all a little bit worried about the very large pass to come. So it was 5,300 metres, and the state of the road looked pretty poor, so a little bit quicker packing up than normal perhaps. But we rolled a couple of K down the road, only to find a couple of parachute tents and a good source of water, which made a lot of the faffing at the end of yesterday pretty much redundant. So had we just gone on that touch further, we could have saved ourselves probably about 14k of biking and a lot of heartache trying to decide what the right thing to do was, and could probably have put ourselves in a much better position for the big climb. But yeah, that's life. Saw a sign for an ultra marathon that we tried to goad Andy into doing, which was a mere 222 kilometre run in the Himalayas, which frankly is just ridiculous. We did have to check whether that was running or on a bike, because even on a bike that would be pretty hard work, but no, indeed 60 hours you'd have to run it. So shaking our heads at that, we got on our bikes and pedalled off for a pretty constant uphill gradient all the way to the top of the Tanglang La Pass. Now we started out on tarmac, but inevitably that was never going to last, and we got to reasonably rough track, but I think we made pretty good progress, and things were, dare I even say, perhaps a touch easier than people were expecting. Like I say, there was a pretty constant gradient, so just got your head down, keep the cranks turning, and you knew you were going to get there in the end. As Hugh pointed out, it was a game of patience rather than sprinting and hurting yourself. So we topped out at the top, just as a bit of snow was coming down, which is quite nice, and we have to bear in mind that in a few weeks' time apparently all these passes will be shut to traffic, which kind of surprises me, because you know it's a red hot day. A few flakes of snow is all we've seen, and but yeah, no, that's the case. So you know the weather's closing in pretty quickly. Now for us it was kind of nice, there's a bit of cloud cover, so it wasn't murderously hot on the way up, and I think that probably took a little bit of the pain away for us. And at the top, actually, we were wrapping up in a few warm layers, so it must have been a little bit chilly. Met an interesting English guy who'd been on an Enfield motorbike, biking out from England all the way on vegetable oil, apparently. That was his thing, so each to their own. Can't help some. What made it quite entertaining was this very classic Enfield bike, and he whips out an iMac from the pannier bags and got a GPS system on the front, so it's sort of jazzed up with modern technology using a relatively old design of bike. Made us a bit of a wry smile. Anyway, we had a quick cup of tea at the top, took a few snaps, and started the descent, which started off pretty rocky and rubbly and pretty horrid, but soon gave way to some absolutely gorgeous tarmac. And the kilometres were flying by, and we dropped 1,300 metres in total, and you could sort of see yourself coming down the altitude. You could see trees again, and there were farms, flocks of sheep, etc., and we just followed the valley down. All a very Tibetan feel to the valley. That's been the influence over the years until the border shut. There's a lot of prayer wheels by the side of the road, some beautiful geology, lots of rock faces, lots of strata that you could see just going almost all the way down the valley, so lots to look at. So we took our time, which is very nice, very pleasant, and very easy riding, pretty much downhill all the way. Had a little spot of lunch. Another Enfield pulled up as their ubiquitous vehicle around here with some Westerners on, although they parked theirs up and immediately a pool of fluid started to appear underneath, so a little bit worrying. Then we rolled down the hill a little bit further to Upshey, where we had grand visions of Hilton hotels and spa pools, and we were to be somewhat disappointed by the lack of choice of accommodation. In fact, on the face of it, there was none, and there was some disappointing talk of rolling on a little bit further into a little bit of a headwind and a bit of an uphill, and chins were beginning to wobble at this point. And I think Andy was just asking around and in the restaurants and managed to source a little room which appeared to be all intents and purposes as good as a hotel as we've seen elsewhere, but just don't seem to advertise themselves. So we had a big room with 10 beds, which was good enough for us, and we had a good feed in the evening in one of the restaurants underneath. Made slightly entertaining by the fact that when we ordered pancakes, at first there was a bit of mistranslation with Andy's flipping motion. We almost got omelettes, but eventually the pancake meshes got through, and she had to nip off and borrow a frying pan from a friend, and but the pancakes did come good in the end, so at least we had a good feed, and set ourselves up for a pretty easy day to roll into Leh the following day.